Hey, this is Tim Pierce. This week, Rick Beato joins us. He's quite a ferocious guitar player, and if you watch his Instagram channel, you know what I'm talking about. He does this thing called spread triads, and I wanted to incorporate that in one of my solos, so I wrote a riff. It's this riff, and I put it in the solo I just did. Rick talks about how his guitar style is influenced by Bach, Pat Metheny, Eric Johnson, and also very much by Eddie Van Halen. Click the link below if you want to check out the online masterclass. There's a 14-day free trial, so you can try it and see if it's right for you. You're constantly inverting things and changing them up. You're going from top to bottom, bottom to top.
Sometimes I'll use these. So that would be B minor to D major. Stuff like that. Using some passing tones, try and keep the patterns where they're not all the same amount of notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then that's 6, and then maybe 7 there. And that would be 6, and then end up here. When you put odd and even groupings together, it sounds more interesting to people. So everything's not lining up.
Whenever I learn something from another guitar player, I try and take the smallest bite possible and immediately make it work in a practical way on something that I have going. This piece of music went from G to A. On the turnaround, that's where I decided to do it. So I see G major 7 here. I do a spread triad arpeggio, which is new for me. Another spread triad here. And that's also kind of a G major 7. With a 6 on top, but you can also see B minor right there. And I slide up here, which is basically B minor 7. Moving up to the A chord, the band goes to A, I do this. That's basically A6. And then I repeat this, the B minor 7. Slide up here. That's basically an F sharp minor. Or an A6 if you put A in the bass. See, all these chords, depending on the bass note, become different. They have different names. The same chords, but you can change the name of a chord simply by changing the bass note. And then I slide up here, basically back down to B minor. Or, kind of slide up. Got 2 different endings. So it's a way for me to actually take Rick's concept, immediately work it into something I'm doing.
And sometimes I'll do a spread triad, then I'll go into like a suspended. So if I go B spread triad, then I go D sus2, right? And
oh yeah.
I love those. I just love them.
Would you even use the word caged?
I just see it as just another way to explain different positionings and things like that. I think it's actually a handy acronym. That would be an acronym, right?
Well, yeah, and I think it's very important if you can learn where the A triad is everywhere on the neck and the D triad is everywhere on the neck, and by extension, the D2 and the D minor 9 and the D6, then you're seeing all of these shapes everywhere. And if the triads are close, that's one thing, but then you start to spread them out, and that begins to create the sound that you create kind of instinctively that we're hearing right now.
Well, what I think is interesting when you were demonstrating on our video that we just did, when you're playing in different positions and you're playing you're playing chords, fragments in different positions as rhythm parts, and you're using the closest inversions of things. And then sometimes you say, oh, well, that has too much of a dissonance there, so I'll go to this note. And it's fascinating to see what your choices are there, because you're always thinking about, well, is that going to detract from the melody, or then you'll put a dissonance where you think it'll kind of add to the part. And it's really interesting.
That's really the whole key when you're working on a song that has a singer, is to do something that's interesting but doesn't advance to the point where it steals the attention from the vocal or the lyric or anything else. And that is the key. And sometimes you reduce things down to a 2-note passage that just has one little rub in it that's just right,
Yes.
under the vocal. How does one note travel through 3 chord changes? And maybe through 2 of them, it's very consonant, and maybe through the 3rd one, it's really dissonant. And that is where the magic is, because the listener hears something that has a twist, and then they get a relief from that twist right away. And they go, ah. And they go, why am I kind of uncomfortable right now? It feels kind of mysterious. And then that changes, and then you feel comfortable. And it's that tension release, that constant yin and yang, opposites constantly changing, that makes music interesting, I think.
Well, that's the part of what makes this song great. It's usually those parts that make you want to hear those over and over, because those little bits of tension people have emotional reactions to those things.
So here's an example of what Rick's talking about over this chord progression. Just the right amount of tension and release, I hope. Let's see. Also, what helps it is repetition with changes within the repetition. So I start this, repeat again, but shorten the phrase and leave air. And if there is a vocalist, they're going to be able to shine in that spot. Repeat again. And now just repeat the end of the phrase twice. And that's the most satisfying spot for me. Because of the way that rubs over the G major 7 and the A. So Rick, what guitar player or guitar players utilize this spread triad the most? Who did you learn it from?
Well, to me, Pat Metheny, because that's where I learned it from. And that's before Eric Johnson. That was
right.
On Bright Size Life, which came out in 1975, he uses it in the melodies of a few of the songs. And actually, Jaco Pastorius plays along with him in unison in some of the things. There's one tune that starts out with 2 spread triads. And the whole melody is spread triads, pretty much. And that's where I first learned it. And then I started saying, oh, what is that? Oh, it's A major. And I started figuring them out all over the guitar. So that's where I learned it from anyways. Anytime I play any spread triad thing, people say, oh, that sounds like Eric Johnson.
Right, because that's our frame of reference.
So Thomas Newman uses spread triads all the time. That's why I love his writing. Oh my, in his piano parts and in his string writing, constantly is using them. Shawshank Redemption, I did a thing of the main, where he comes down the pipe, and it's a beautiful theme. And that's all spread triads. It's a spread triad with the root on the top of the voicings, and it's just beautiful.
Thomas Newman reinvented the movie score, and it's a classical approach, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that
it's a classical
spacing,
approach.
having the fifth in the bass and then the third up above that, or those kind of spacings sound really good, especially in strings. I changed the pattern so it wouldn't be so repetitive on the third. Try to change it up a little bit. I usually don't try to not to do sequences more than 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I don't hear much repetition in your improvisations, but you're moving so fast. That's part of it too. All this stuff happens.
I need to move
lightning
slower.
Speed. Well, I'll slow you down anytime.
I'll go up maybe here and so I go D, A, and E, B minor there I could do. I could go E major there, then B minor, F sharp minor, C sharp minor, B minor there. So it's all those fourth related ones are really cool, and I think they sound great together. I actually, honestly, from Eddie Van Halen in Ice Cream Man, he does those kind of things. And that's where I first heard that, because his first opening lick in Ice Cream Man, because there's all those fourth related major triads, add nines, I always, that grabbed my ear and I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. What is that? So I had to figure it out.
Anyway, thanks so much, Rick.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. If you are a subscriber, please ring the bell. It lets us let you know every time a new video is released. You can also support us by clicking the link below for the online masterclass. As I always say, we're up to over 100 hours of lessons and content, over 1,000 videos. There's a 14-day free trial. Take your time, take a long look. We'd love to have you join us.